How to create a fully functional chess game using Python. Enter the command pip install pygame is used to install the pygame library, which is a popular tool for developing games in Python. Let's create the files main.py, gamelogic.py, constants.py. Then the models directory with the files board.py, piece.py, init.py, and also create the UI directory with the files gameui.py and the init.py. And let's move on to creating constants in the constants.py file. First, define window dimensions. After that, define UI offset. Then define the square size. After that, define colors. Now let's move on to implementing the code in the board.py file. Import the piece class, then import the copy module. Define a class named board to represent the chessboard and manage the game state. Define the constructor method to initialize the board. Create an 8x8 grid initialized with none to represent empty squares. Initialize then passing target to none. Initialize castling rights for both white and black players. Call the setup pieces method to place the pieces on the board. Define a method to set up the initial positions of the chess pieces. Place black pieces in the first two rows. Place white pieces in the last two rows. Use the piece class to create instances of each piece with the appropriate color, type, and position. Define a method to get the piece at a given position. Return the piece if the position is within the bounds of the board. Now define a method to check if a position is within the bounds of the board. Return true if the position is valid. Return none if the position is out of bounds. Next, define a method to move a piece from the start position to the end position. Return false if the position is out of bounds. Handle castling by moving the rook if the king moves 2 squares. Handle and pass and capture by removing the captured pawn. Update the piece's position on the board. Handle pawn promotion by changing the pawn to a queen. Update castling cards if the king or rook moves. Define method to get the pseudo-legal moves for a given piece. Calculate moves for each piece type. Return a list of valid moves for the piece. Now define a method to check if the king of the given color is in check. Find the position of the king. Check if any opponent's piece can move to the king's position. Return true if the king is in check, otherwise return false. Define a method to check if a move is valid. Check if the piece belongs to the current player. Check if the move is in the list of pseudo-legal moves. Similarly, move on a temporary board to check if the king is in check after the move. Return true if the move is valid, otherwise return false. Define a method to check if the given color is in checkmate. Check if the king is in check. Then check if there are any valid moves to get out of check. Return true if it's checkmate, otherwise return false. Define a method to check if the given color is in stalemate. Check if the king is not in check. And then check if there are any valid moves available. And return true if it's stalemate, otherwise return false. Now let's move on to implementing the code in the piece.py file. Define a class named piece to represent a check piece. And define the constructor method to initialize the piece. Store the color of the piece. Store the type of the piece. Then store the x coordinate of the piece's position on the board. After that, store the y coordinate of the piece's position on the board. Initialize a Boolean attribute to track whether the piece has moved. Define a method to get the symbol. Create a dictionary that maps piece types to their corresponding Unicode symbols. Return the symbol for the piece based on its type and color. Define a method to return a string representation of the piece. Return a string that describes the piece's color, type, and position on the board. Now let's move on to implementing the code in the game UI.py file. Import the pygame library. Import all the constants and functions from the pygame locals module. Import the chess game class from the game logic module. Import all constants from the constants module. Define a class named chess UI to manage the user interface and rendering of the chess game. Define the constructor method to initialize the user interface. Initialize all pygame modules. Create a window with the specified width and height. Set the window title to chess game. Create a clock object to control the frame rate. Initialize the game logic. Set the font for rendering piece symbols. Define a method to draw the chessboard. Look through each square on the board and determine its color based on its position. Use Pygame Draw Rect to draw each square on the screen, offsetting the Y coordinate. Define a method to draw the chess pieces on the board. Loop through each square on the board and check if there is a piece at that position. If a piece is present, render its symbol using the specified font and color. Position the piece symbol at the center of the square. Define a method to draw highlights for the selected piece and possible moves. If a piece is selected, highlight the square with a semi-transparent yellow surface. Highlight possible moves with a semi-transparent green surface. Define a method to handle mouse clicks. Check if the click is within the board area. Convert the click position to board coordinates. If no piece is selected, select the piece at the clicked position. If a piece is selected, attempt to move it to the clicked position. Check if the game is over after the move and print the reason if it's handle clicks on the restart button to reset the game. Define a method to run the game loop. Enter the game loop, which continues until the running flag is set to false. Handle events such as quitting the game or mouse clicks. Clear the screen and draw the board, highlights, pieces, turn indicator, and restart button. Update the display and control the frame rate using the clock. Quit Pygame when the game loop ends. Define a method to draw the turn indicator. Render the text indicating whose turn it's and display it in the top left corner of the screen. Define a method to draw the restart button. Draw a white rectangle as the button background. Render the restart text and display it in the top right corner of the screen. Now let's move on to implementing the code in the gamelogic.py file. Import the board class from the models board module. Define a class named chess game to manage the game logic and state. Define the constructor method to initialize the game. Create an instance of the board class to represent the chessboard. Set the initial player to white. Initialize the selected piece to none. Initialize the list of possible moves to an empty list. Define a method to select a piece at a given position. Get the piece at the given position. Check if there is no piece at the position or if the piece belongs to the opponent. Deselect the piece. Clear the list of possible moves. Return false to indicate that the selection was unsuccessful. Set the selected piece for the given position. Get the pseudo-legal moves for the selected piece. Filter the pseudo-legal moves to get the valid moves for the current player. Return true to indicate that the selection was successful. Define a method to make a move to the given end position. Check if no piece is selected. Return false to indicate that the move was unsuccessful. Unpack the selected piece position. Check if the end position is not in the list of possible moves. Return false to indicate that the move was unsuccessful. Execute the move on the board. Switch turns to the other player. Deselect the piece. Clear the list of possible moves. Return true to indicate that the move was successful. Define a method to check if the game is over. Check if the current play is in checkmate. Return true and the reason checkmate to indicate that the game is over. Check if the current play is in stalemate. Return true and the reason stalemate to indicate that the game is over. Return false and an empty string to indicate that the game is not over. Now let's move on to implementing the code in the main.py file. Import the size module, import the OS module, add the directory containing the main.py file to the system path. Get the absolute path of the main.py file. Import the chessUI class from the GameUI module. Check if the script is being run as the main module. Create an instance of the chessUI class. Call the run method of the chessUI instance to start the game loop and initialize the user interface. Let's move on to correcting errors. As a result, we created a fully functional chess game using Python.